I feel zero guilt. I don't feel guilty at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new Slug Meal video, and in today's video we're going to be covering the most recent Ludwig controversy. By now you probably already heard about and seen the Mang0 situation and the actions he did when he was belligerently drunk at Ludwig's party. Of course what Mang0 did was despicable and he is genuinely a gross individual, but in today's video we're going to be focusing on Ludwig's actions in this whole entire controversy and his response to them, or lack of should I say. Now at this party Ludwig openly stated that Mang0 has an issue with alcohol.
Okay, Mang0 is like an alcoholic. Mang0 can drink 30 beers and act the same he does off no beers. He's a machine of a man.
He said he had 7 beers already today.
If you ask him how many beers he's had lifetime, it's probably above 10,000.
If you do know this about one of your friends or associates or somebody you hang around with, you know that they drink a lot, or they've already had drinks and they struggle with that, or they just end up drinking too much. You wouldn't really want to encourage them to drink, because as well you don't want to create an unsafe environment not only for them and what they might do, but for everyone else around them. But of course, what does Ludwig decide to do? He decides to encourage this behavior.
I do PB! Guys, Mang0 just blew a .25!
Mang0 just blew a .32.
I think of course it's worth noting that here Ludwig is trying to encourage Mang0 to drink more, cheering that his blood alcohol level is at a certain level, but of course when we get to his response to this whole entire situation, it will be vastly different to how he acted at this party with encouraging Mang0.
That is my guy.
Hey everybody! Mang0 just blew a .32!
To be clear, that is dangerous. That's not good. That's not good. That's dangerous.
Let's up those numbers!
I mean, it's very clear here that Ludwig does not care. He's making jokes about it. He's trying to get Mang0 to drink more. He's completely ignoring the fact that this is incredibly dangerous. This isn't something that should be happening. You shouldn't be encouraging somebody to drink more if their blood alcohol level is that high, and making a joke out of it and trying to like get him to drink more is genuinely gross, especially with how Ludwig actually reacted to the situation.
Oh shit! Everybody, get your second race ready to go!
Wait, do we have to... Oh, sorry. Sorry, I thought you were Mang0. I got confused.
Oh, you fucking me. You just fucked me from behind. Get off me. Oh my god. He rushed so nicely.
See, that's the sign of maybe I shouldn't have been encouraging Mang0 to constantly keep drinking. Maybe I shouldn't have been cheering about his blood alcohol level being so incredibly high. Of course, when people started talking about the actions Mang0 did when he was drunk, Ludwig did come out to address this, and I mean, his addressal is just so stark in contrast when compared to these clips.
I feel really bad about that, and you know, I reached out to anyone who I felt might have felt uncomfortable and talked to them, but also, and I already told Mang0 this, I'm no longer inviting Mang0 to Mogul Moves event.
Could you imagine encouraging somebody to do something and then when that something goes too far, banning that individual for doing the thing that you were encouraging them to do? What Mang0 did is gross and was of his own volition and should be equally criticized. But what should also be equally criticized is the fact that Ludwig was encouraging Mang0 to keep drinking, which ultimately led to that actions.
Cause like, you know, it's a privilege to go to an event, man. Like the whole point of an event is like, it's a fun thing to do, have a good ass time. And if somebody appearing jeopardizes somebody else having a good time, that just can't be a thing.
I do like how in this moment and when he's explaining this, he just acts like he wasn't doing this with Mang0.
Dangerous. That's not good. That's not good. That's dangerous.
Let's up those numbers!
Cause like, you know, it's a privilege to go to an event.
Ludwig is such a gross, disingenuous, spineless, scummy, lying content creator. At every opportunity, he either sits on the fence, lies, or is incredibly disingenuous. And at every opportunity I've had on this channel to take shots at him, I always had. No pun intended with the shots there.
But we did cut off Mang0 on alcohol about an hour before stream ended.
But that's after you encouraged him to drink more, encouraged him to try and up his blood alcohol level, trying to get him even more drunk. It's just all a bit of too late, isn't it? Of course, at a party, people are going to drink. It's a party, for God's sake. I'm not saying that people aren't going to drink, but you can't sit there in your response and act like this when you were in an entirely different state at the actual party.
But I mean, he went into it really drunk. And I also personally apologize. I look back, it's very cringy now. but I was like applauding like him getting new PBs with his blood alcohol, which is like, you know, super poor taste, especially on hindsight.
There's no accountability, it's just, yeah, that was a bit of poor taste, especially in hindsight. Just that it kind of looks bad on me. No accountability actually taken there. Don't misconstrue this for actual accountability.
Obviously, that wasn't the intention. The intention is similar to when we did the Doug challenge with alcohol, where we're getting new PBs on the breathalyzers, but it definitely looks way different on hindsight.
So the fact that he isn't going, yeah, I'm sorry, I created this environment. I tried to encourage him to drink more, trying to get his blood alcohol level, which ultimately contributed to this horrific situation. I'm sorry for that, and apologizing and genuinely taking accountability. He's just kind of like, yeah, in hindsight, it looks bad. Yeah, it looks kind of dodgy. Maybe I should have done that. And that's genuinely it. That his quote-unquote accountability for this situation.
The best idea to have someone with substance abuse problems participate. Again, Mango's participated in 2 other beer card events. This ain't the first one.
Like, that makes it okay. If you know that somebody struggles with alcohol, maybe drinks too much or goes too far when they're drunk, you shouldn't be encouraging that behavior. You shouldn't be shouting around like an idiot, sticking your hands up in the air and trying to get his blood alcohol level up. That's not something you should be doing if you do know that somebody struggles with alcohol or goes too far when they drink alcohol. Especially when you're the one hosting this party, actively involved in this party, and there are other people around that person.
Like, we've done it, like, I have something to go off. So I think what you're saying is true, but like, I've done it twice with no problem.
Again, there's no, yeah, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have invited somebody who does struggle with alcohol or goes too far when they drink alcohol to a party. That was pretty reckless of me, and I shouldn't probably been encouraging to do that even if I did invite him. There's just none of that. It's just like, well, yeah, the first 2 was fine, so, you know, what would I think any different?
So there's no reason I should think there'd be a problem the 3rd time. And I personally, like, am not, like, speculating. You know, I've asked Ming in the past if he has if he's alcoholic, like, straight up, and he always says no. Now, like, I think ultimately you just gotta, I've been taking him at his word.
If you think somebody is struggling with alcohol or you think they go too far, maybe it's not wise to be actively encouraging that, and then if you do, at least own up, apologize, and take accountability for the role you played in the situation. There is another clip taken from one of his recent live streams where, again, he speaks about this, and I've got to play it because it's genuinely hilarious.
Banned from Melee tournaments. You killed Mango? Not even a little bit. I don't know if you're memeing or genuine. I feel zero guilt. I don't feel guilty at all.
There's Ludwig saying he doesn't feel any guilt whatsoever, so even if you wanted to take the other clip we played as Ludwig taking accountability, if that's the charitable view that you wanted to give, here he is actively going against that, saying he doesn't feel any guilt whatsoever, which contradicts what he was saying in his initial response. This guy's very much like Tommy in that example, which he will say whatever benefits him in that moment. Of course, what Mango did was of Mango's own volition there. Nobody told him to do what he ended up doing to the people at the party, but ultimately Ludwig was encouraging the behavior of him to drink more, which ultimately led up to that. That was the environment that was created there, and to take no accountability whatsoever, or not to feel guilty about it whatsoever, not to feel guilty about this situation, is just a bit stupid.
I think this is his own actions, because he's his own man. He's an adult man.
I don't disagree that the vast majority of accountability lays at Mango's feet. He is an adult at the end of the day. He decided to do what he did, but equally, Ludwig also has accountability in this situation, and to just act kind of like you don't, even after saying that, yeah, in hindsight, that did look a bit rough, is just hilariously bad.
But I will see, man. You know, I don't talk about it sincerely too often. I obviously, like, you guys know this about me, but my dad had a serious problem with alcohol, and his rock bottom was death.
Well, of course, it goes without saying that is horrible to hear. I do really feel for Ludwig in this instance, but as well, if you've had that struggle, your father has struggled with alcoholism, he struggled with alcohol, and you also suspect that Mango might have an issue, you're joking about him possibly having an issue, why would you egg that on, especially with your own history with alcohol in your family, with all the context, with the fact that you think that Mango might have an issue, and you've asked him several times. I don't get why you would want to egg that behavior on. That just seems genuinely absurd and a bit gross to me.
And you know, I've talked to Mango in the past. Like, I've asked him probably 4 times, 5 times, point blank, are you an alcoholic?
If you've asked him that many times and you might suspect that he genuinely might have an issue with alcohol, and you've even said that at your event and made jokes about it, maybe you shouldn't be encouraging him to drink more, because surely only something negative could come from that. The lack of accountability coming from Ludwig is genuinely absurd, and he is getting an insane amount of pushback, not only from people on the internet, but also his own fans and viewers. During that, someone blew a .32 poo on a breathalyzer is insane work. You are to blame too. Dude, you were celebrating his new PR on the breathalyzer. Mango is obviously responsible for what he did, but you 100% egged him on and applauded him until he got out of control. Leave it to Ludwig to shirk all responsibility for what happened at his own event. Pretty on brand. Honestly, Lud needs to be more self-aware. He invited an alcoholic to a drinking event. Even Ray asked if Biro was enabling him. Because I've got to say, even if Ludwig didn't know 100% that, you know, Mango struggled with alcohol, he suspected it. He had asked him several times. He was making jokes about it at the event. So yeah, he was still inviting the person he thought could possibly be an alcoholic to a drinking event and cheering him on to drink more and get his blood alcohol level higher. Now, Ludwig was literally enabling Mango the entire night. He ran the event, he enabled him to drink more, cuts him off, and then says it's his fault and doesn't feel guilty. Ludwig is an awful person. Ludwig should feel guilty. Mango is guilty of committing the acts. Ludwig is guilty of creating the environment that facilitated it. If he felt no guilty, he wouldn't even think of cancelling future events. Ultimately, Ludwig deserves all the hate and criticism that he is currently receiving over this situation. Ludwig has always been a spineless, fence-sitting weirdo, and yeah, it's about time that his own fans are pushing back against him, and not just the ones that are spamming W in his chat anytime he speaks. So everybody watching, what's your thoughts on this situation? Please feel free to comment down below, and while you're down there, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. But I've been your host Samuel, thank you for watching today's video, and I will catch you in the next upload. Goodbye.
1.32!
Just to be clear, that is dangerous. That's not good.